Got a bunch of people jumping in here, so we'll just give it a minute. Good morning, good morning. Okay, good morning. This is Patrick Kelly with Digital Watchdog. Thank you for joining us this morning while we talk about our DW Spectrum Gen 5. All right. So before we get started with the DW Spectrum, just want to make sure everybody is aware of our DW Security for a Cause campaign that's currently going on. There's a call for nominations out there on our website. On the URL listed there on the screen. We are in the process of taking nominations from your favorite cause, and we're going to give away 3 16 camera systems with each with a blackjack cube running DW Spectrum Gen 5. And so we'll be giving those away on August 17th. We'll be announcing the winners on National Nonprofit Day. But nominations are open till August 10th. So we encourage you to submit your nomination today. Get on our website, nominate your favorite cause. If you're not a CPP member, get on our website and join the CPP program and nominate your favorite cause. So we look forward to receiving. We've received some great nominations so far, and we look forward to receiving more. We hope to receive several more. All right, let's go forward. So today, we're going to be discussing DW Spectrum Gen 5 with a new feature overview. We'll dig in a little bit to the cybersecurity features and the enhanced usability. That's what this upgrade is all about, those 2 items. We'll do a live demonstration of the Gen 5 product. We'll talk about its support and availability, and we'll take questions as always. As always, please use the Zoom question to, as some people have already said, good morning, so they understand how to use the Q&A there. But we'll try to answer your questions at the end, time permitting, or we can follow up with emails and phone conversations and emails going forward. So with that said, we will also be recording this. That's typically the first question a lot of people ask, and it will be posted with the other webinars on our website. And we'll have a review of that URL there at the bottom, at the end there for you as well, just so that you can follow up on that. So the Gen 5 feature overview, as I said, it's really about cybersecurity improvements and enhanced usability. We look forward to going through each one of these, but there you get a quick list of all the key new features from 2-factor authentication all the way through resource grouping in terms of and what this upgrade is really all about. You'll see a lot in terms of the metadata-driven capabilities within the product, as well as that really continues to expand. All right, so digging into the cybersecurity capabilities, and as I mentioned, 2-factor authentication. So this is connected to DW Cloud for those systems that are connected to DW Cloud. You can use a authenticator, whether it's Google or Microsoft or some of the others out there, to verify identity before logging into the system. Just to provide that extra layer of security within the system. You can do that by enabling 2-factor authentication in DW Cloud of your Gen 5 system. Additionally, we'll be enabling the ability to archive the encrypted video, or excuse me, other way around. We'll be able to encrypt the archived video. So in the system administration, you'll see a whole new tab dedicated to security. So all of the data protection, user account capabilities have now all been consolidated in system administration, security, right next to those update and license tabs that we use so often. And so on the bottom of that security tab, you'll find a archive encryption capability to where you'll be able to set the password. This will encrypt that archive video and make it only available for view in the DW Spectrum client, the mobile, and the web clients. So the system owner creates that encryption key, as you see there, once you enable it on that security tab in the system administration. Going forward, 5.0 will also use certificate pinning to render man-in-the-middle attacks impossible. So just again, more secure connection. It uses a self-signed certificate in the certificate pinning, but you can go in and purchase your own certificates and secure it even further with your own certificate pinning capabilities there in Gen 5. Enhanced usability. So a lot of enhanced usability capabilities within Spectrum. As I said, a lot of them are dedicated towards metadata-driven capabilities, which is exciting in terms of, as the product continues to grow and its ability to interact with analytics solutions out there. So we start off with that right panel has really grown, with the introduction of the object tab, and this iteration of DW Spectrum, we really enhanced that capability with the new advanced pop-out. So it's a new pop-out window that allows you to go through and search by the attributes that the AI is generating. So that metadata AI attributes, the objects, the colors, the people and vehicles, starting point. But as deep as the analytics go, you'll be able to search through that with that analytic pop-out, the advanced pop-out in the object search capability. So we'll demonstrate that here in just a little bit, but gives you a whole new window in which to dig into the AI coming from the cameras or from from server solutions. So we'll have more about that later, but you can go in and easily pop that out, so you're not restricted to just that slim right panel there. By hitting the advanced tab, you get the pop out, and then you can go in and search through those attributes. Metadata-driven recording. So this is in the camera settings on the recording tab, and where you used to be able to do just motion-based, you're now able to combine both motion and objects. So objects would be the metadata coming from any AI solution that it's connected to. So it's much easier to initiate recording based off of object detection. And it's also able to, much easier to schedule that capability. So you can, again, define this through the 24-hour period of a day, 7 days a week, and go in and set periods for, continuous recording, motion-based recording, object-based recording, or a combination of motion and object-based recording is the third option there, that you can really combine those capabilities so that you can trigger recording, different recording modes, whether that's frame rates and qualities and adjustments there. And it's as easy as the radio buttons there that are being shown on that recording tab in the camera settings, as you can see. Next up is the metadata-driven archive backup capability. So this introduces yet another new tab. This new tab will be found in the server settings. So you would right-click on the server, go to server settings, and you will find a backup tab. Now, obviously, the first thing you do with the backup is go to the storage management and identify the drive in which you want to back up to. So that's the ability for the drive to either be designated as a main storage location where it's typically recording to, or where you want to send the backup data to. And so you've got the ability to add that external storage in the storage management, identify that storage location as a backup location, and then proceed over to the backup tab. Now, what you're able to do in this backup tab is identify by camera what you want to back up. So you select all streams, or you can select the high resolution stream or the low resolution stream, but typically you're going to select the all streams, and then what it is that you want to archive. So much more granularity in terms of what you're able to back up. So this really optimizes the backup storage location to events, whether it's motion-based, so you can take all the motion. So previously it was kind of an all or nothing in terms of the backup. Again, this is allowing you to take essentially a fine-tooth comb to each camera and choose whether you want to back up motion objects. So that AI generated metadata can be backed up. Bookmarks. So if you've created rules and you've tagged the video with bookmarks, maybe that's point of sale data or access control data or whatever it is that you've created in the rules engine, you can then go in and say, hey, you know what? I want to back that up to that backup location. So any of those three are now capable in the backup section of the server settings. And then you have the other options, which are combinations of those three. So you've got motion and objects, motion and bookmark, objects and bookmark, or all three, motion, objects, and bookmark. And again, you can define this by camera of what you want to back up. So much more efficient use of the backup storage that you can tag that video automatically and then have it automatically generate a backup of that video. Next up is a metadata-driven event rule. So this is AI object detection. So when you select in the events dropdown, analytic object detected, you have the ability to filter by object type or attribute. So that metadata that's being generated by the AI. So once your AI has identified a vehicle, you can create a rule specifically for vehicles in this case, or specifically for a person, or specifically for, attribute might be a red shirt or something like that can be associated here. So here you see, a mobile notification on a vehicle. And of course, the standard rules engine attributes in terms of being able to schedule that, being able to direct the action towards a specific user are available there as well. Okay, but this, again, much easier in that rules generation to take actions based off of specific objects being detected with the new AI object detection event rule capabilities. Okay, next up, we've got web page proxy via server. So this is an interesting one. Everybody kind of knows that you can add a web page. Hopefully everybody knows in DW Spectrum, really easy to add a web page just by going into that web page section, right clicking, you can add a URL, give it a name, and that becomes a resource in the resource tree. You now have the ability with the checkbox to proxy this web page via the server. So this is a web page that's being hosted on the secure side, and using Spectrum to be that proxy to proxy that connection. So this might be a PoE switch on the inside, rather than making the switch accessible through its capabilities. You can actually run that through Spectrum and have Spectrum proxy that, so that it's only available to users as you select there. Really exciting feature in terms of being able to, web page has always been kind of viewed as a way to integrate with other devices, that you can bring those devices in. And now those devices don't have to be on the public side to be accessible. They can be brought through the web page proxy capability. So all the cybersecurity and connectivity that you have with Spectrum is brought to that third-party device right there with the web page proxy capability. Okay. Resource grouping is another big one, and this was a much requested solution for those larger systems. As the systems have grown in terms of the camera counts, people have wanted to be able to group those resources. So take the cameras, take the web pages, take encoders and those types of things, and combine them into a resource group. Really easy, just right click in the site tree, create a resource group, and essentially you're creating a folder. So here you see in the picture, we've created a folder for front parking lot cameras. We've taken the 3 cameras that are in the front parking lot in this particular install, and we've grouped them together as a single object in the resource tree, folder in the resource tree. Kind of, basic stuff in terms of containerizing those objects or those devices in a group there. Benefit of this, really, besides the usability benefits in terms of easily seeing them in the site tree, is also the user role capabilities with these new resource groups. So that folder of the front parking lot there you see shows up in the camera and resource section of the user role. So when you're creating a user role, really easy to just rather than having to find the 3 parking lot cameras there, you can just take the folder and associate that with the user role, and so that when you're assigning that to people, they get the cameras that are in that particular folder. And as you put new cameras up and you drop them into that resource group, they're automatically added to that user role. So nice usability features, particularly with those larger systems that are out there. Next one is, we've talked about this quite a bit with some of our technology partners. We think we had a webinar with Cameron with SoundSecure, is the audio mapping capabilities. And so this is just in the camera settings here. You've always had the ability just to enable audio. Now with audio mapping, you're able to map audio from one device and an output to another device. Okay. The other nice thing with this is that if you uncheck the audio, it now removes that mic button. So just because it sees audio on the camera in the OnVIF profile doesn't mean you're going to end up with a microphone in the lower right corner of the camera image. So now you've got the ability to remove that mic. If you have no microphone, you have nothing connected to it, you just uncheck that enable audio, and the microphone is no longer there. But when you do enable the audio, you can take the mic that's on the camera. So if you're using one of our V7 domes that has a built-in microphone, or if you're using any of our cameras that have audio inputs, you've connected an external microphone to it, you can enable that, and then you can map it to another device. So popularity of IP speakers, right? So I can take the microphone from one and communicate to another device. Might be an IP speaker that I can do a talk down to the site. So really easy to map that out here in the camera settings using the audio mapping capabilities in Gen 5. Okay, we've also got in Gen 5 the redesigned web pages. So there's new tabs for the server, the cameras, and licenses in the web server administration pages. And we'll show you that here in just a bit. Easier playback control. I thought this one was nice in terms of when you do the mouse over on the pan-temporal timeline down across the bottom, as you've brought cameras up and the cameras that are selected, when you mouse over, it now gives you a thumbnail view within that when you're moused over on the timeline itself. So rather than having to kind of pull up on the timeline to get the thumbnails and clutter the screen with all the thumbnails across the bottom, as I've seen some people do, you can just mouse over and you get a quick little thumbnail image of the particular time as you're moused over within that. So it kind of incorporates thumbnails just right into the pan-temporal timeline. The other thing you'll notice as you're wheeling around within the timeline, some of you have noticed that in the on the right side, the most recent side within the timeline, there was a little buffer in the current version. So it usually takes it might take up to a minute in terms of accessing recorded video. Now you'll see instant playback. So they've reduced that buffer time significantly in the pan-temporal timeline for instantaneous playback. And you'll see that there in Gen 5. Improved client window state. So this is a quick little setting in the local settings to which you can connect to a previous system on startup. Okay, And so this is really for implementation and things like our video wall, those types of things, unattended displays, to ensure that they always display correctly. So you're able to basically, save a state, restore a state, or have the client state open up automatically on a particular view. So you might have it in a quad or multi-screen view, and have the system open up automatically to the client and open up automatically to that particular view in the display. And then you'll see we've also got the improved login page. So this was a nice one, really nice ad once you started messing around with it. But this basically, allows you to easily sort, filter, hide systems on that system login page. You can actually designate systems as your favorite. You get the little star next to the system there. You can bring up just your favorites through the drop down. You can hide certain systems. So as you've got see quite a few people out there with tons of system tiles on their page there. Really easy to filter them with your favorite and hidden or all systems. And then the search bar itself. So the search bar has been there for quite a while, but the search now works with several attributes, not just the system name, IP address, owner, email address, those types of things are all enabled in that search bar on the improved login page. So let's go ahead and demonstrate that, as well as the rest of the features we just talked about with the live demonstration of Gen 5. So here's our login, and as you see, I've got a couple of favorites there. Really easy in terms of the favorites, that if I just hit the three buttons there, I can add this to my favorites, click that, and it's now added into the favorite bar there. To remove it, you can just click that button there and remove it. From the drop down over here, as the graphic was showing, you can hide, by the way, back here, I should have said, you can hide certain, so we'll take Berry House there, we'll hide him for a second. And now, so he no longer shows up in that system there, system tiles. But I can say, okay, just show me my favorites. Pretty easy. Click into it. We'll go into the system itself. So here's our cube, here's our cameras. So we'll bring up a couple of cameras. Let's bring up that one. So one of the things we've noticed with the AI is the regions of interest. In this case, you see the line crossing that's set up. So this is actually set up in the camera and in the on-screen display from the camera itself. And so you can actually go and getting hit from, there we go. Okay, so right click inside of here. There's now a show items that'll show the info. It'll show regions of interest or objects. So you can turn those on and off. So if I just uncheck this region of interest, it removes those, the line crossing that's coming from the camera. It removes it from the display. So I'm not looking at it from here, which you'll also see we have lots of regions and so forth set up here, and I can do the same thing and remove those from this camera as well. Setting up those, the resource grouping, you just simply right click inside of here and say create a group. Okay, so there's my group, and I'm going to name it. We named it parking lot cameras. Okay, and then you can just, to add a camera, you just simply drag the cameras underneath that, and you now have a resource grouping of the parking lot that when you go here to the user role and you want to create a new user role, you'll see that that shows up in the parking lot section there. Okay, we mentioned in the system administration, you've got the new security tab, and you can enable the encryption of the archived video here. And so all of the security attributes have been consolidated underneath the security tab within the system administration as well. And then over here, we right click inside, we go to our server settings. And so we go to storage management, you'll see that we've designated this particular storage location as a backup location. And now we can go over to the backup tab. We can click on a particular camera and we can choose all streams. We enable that for backing up. So you've got the little button there to enable the backup capabilities. And then from the drop down here, you can select again, whether it's motion, object, bookmark, or any combination of those very easily so that you can back up just motion and object coming from that particular camera in this case. Again, right click inside of here, we go to camera settings, just as we always have, and you'll see that you have the object as a choice, just as the graphic showed, and then you have a combination of motion and objects as well. And when you mouse over here, you'll see that you get the automatic little thumbnails popping up in there in that display. Okay. Oh, there's one more. The right click inside of here, go to server web pages. And that's going to open up. So here's your server web page. You've got the system itself with its information, system settings, security information. You can view the licenses that are enabled on that particular system. You've got your cameras. You can do this all right from the web administration or your user settings as well as your server settings are all here in the web client as well. All right, slide that out. I think I covered most all of them, hopefully. Otherwise, just one particular you want to see, I'm sure you'll let me know. But that was the quick little live demonstration of Gen 5. Okay, so now support and availability. Gen 5 has been tested on Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11, all the way up to Windows Server 2022 in terms of its compatibility. It's also compatible on the Ubuntu platform with 16, 18, and 20. Do want to point out that this will be the last release that 16 is going to be supported on. So you want to make your plans if you're running Ubuntu 16, you want to make your plans and upgrade to 18 or 20 if you plan on updating to 5.1 when that comes out at the end of Q4, beginning of Q1. All right, and then the Mac compatibility. The Gen 5 has been tested and running on the new M1 chip, the Apple Silicon, which is actually what I'm running here on a new M1 Mac Mini. So you'll see it running here in compatibility with that. All right, so Gen 5 will be available for download off of our website next Tuesday. So August 22nd, or excuse me, August 2nd, 2022, lots of twos there. You'll have Gen 5 available to you. As a participant in this website, you might notice the in-client upgrade with the build number and password of that upgrade so that you can try it out if you choose to. And then you've got the installer will be available. And down the road, we will, as we typically do, we will do the push to the within DW Spectrum, but that's usually a 45 to 60 day after release. As far as the upgrade path, some have asked, it is possible to do a direct upgrade from 4.0, 4.1, or 4.2 directly to 5.0. We do recommend, strongly encourage a fresh install from 3.2 or any older versions is strongly encouraged. Of course, anytime you're doing an upgrade, you want to do a backup. Recommend, clean that database. So there's the procedure in terms of the upgrade path. You want to make sure to back up your database and run a clean database on those installs. Okay. Let's get to questions. We do have some upcoming webinars for August on the website now, but we have those there. And at this point, I'll take a look at questions and see what we've got. Is there a dewarp feature for single sensor lens 180 similar to the fisheye dewarp? The dewarp capabilities within Spectrum, just to review, I think I've got a dewarping here. Okay. That when you mouse over, you have the dewarping capabilities of the 90, the 180, and the 360. And then you can pan around inside of that, kind of like a PTZ. You could set presets and so forth on the dewarping capability. Jeff, I'm not fully understanding but your question, but essentially if I come in here to camera settings, I'll just point out that on any camera I can enable the dewarping for any camera. Obviously this particular camera that I just did it on is not a fisheye camera, so you're gonna get some tearing here. But you can enable that dewarping capability, and then on any camera, and of course give it the orientation of where you've mounted it, how you've mounted it, for the algorithms to work there. So there's some capability in there.
Yeah, Patrick.
Always been there.
I think he's worried about the 180 cameras get a little bit of that, just that curving around the edges. And I don't think right now we have that where we do that sort of linear correction. No. So I think that's what he's looking for, is that 180 that get a little bent up and down depending on which way you have them oriented. So I think that's what he's looking for. That's something we can look at. Absolutely. So that's it.
Okay. So let's keep going through. We'll be able to play this presentation later. Yes, it will be recorded. It'll be on our website with all of our recorded webinars. It's most efficient sharing practice that I recommend for sharing cameras. Web page or client. Typically, I would say that the client is going to give the person the best experience in terms of that. When you add a user through DW Cloud, they're going to get access to download the clients as well as the mobile app. And then, those changes take effect automatically. Web pages, it's pretty simple and easy to share, but if it's a fisheye camera or something like that, where you want the dewarping capability, you're going to want those through the client itself. Okay. Okay, I see a long one in here. We'll handle that one directly. Is it publicly available for testing? Yes, we just gave you the update code, as well as we'll have it posted on our website by next Tuesday. A lot of these are grouping cloud servers, not at this moment. The favorites in the client. As far as the cloud, you'll see some more updates there going forward. You need a side engine for the object-based recording. No, it's the same media server is doing in terms of the recording. As far as generating the objects, that's coming from the analytics. That might be what you mean by side engines. So for instance, you'll want to check out our Blackjack AI webinar coming up on August 25th, where we'll have the IVA server, IVA AI server running on board, generating those objects that we can then Can we import certificates? Yes, you do have the ability. There's an import, but there is an install currently to where you can install your own certificates. If you choose to, you might take a look at our knowledge base in terms of that. Okay, question here. What is the difference between recording settings, motion versus object? So just to clarify that, thank you for the question. So if I come in here to my camera settings and I go to the recording, I've got a choice. Historically, we've had the ability to do motion-based to where if I only want to record when there's motion in front of the camera, let's say during the working hours, so we can paint this out and say, well, let's do here, here, and then we'll do, Sunday we'll do continuous recording. So for whatever reason, if you want to do motion-based recording, so at that point, it's going to trigger the recording based off of the motion grid that you see here during these time periods and start recording at the frame rate accordingly that's set up here. Object-based is that it's coming in from metadata from the AI. So whether it's AI running on the analytics running on the camera, or a third-party analytic engine that's sending that metadata in, generating that metadata to trigger the recording. That's what an object-based, or you could have a combination of that. So it might not be that the motion detection caught it, but the analytic caught it. You can start recording on that. So you have 3 shades. Just put the different shades up there. So this would be object-based, the red would be motion-based, and the pink there would be kind of a combination of those. Hopefully that explains it, but would there be anything else? Degradation of the recorded data? No, there shouldn't be any loss. Or question is going from 3 to 5, any degradation of the recorded data? No, there should not be any degradation of the recorded data. Again, back up the database, do a clean install if you're coming from 3.2 to 5. You should be fine. Question about someone looking to purchase some DW cameras. Reach out to me or Paul. Again, I'll put my information on the screen. You can talk to me. We'll get you in touch with your local regional manager or manufacturer's rep. Just kind of, there you go. You've got my email. Shoot me an email. We can point you in the right direction of the person you want to talk to.